Hi! Today I'm going to tell you the story of Little Red Riding Hood. It's a fairy tale from hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Once upon a time, there was a mom. She called her little girl, "Oh, Little Red Riding Hood, I need you to do me a favor today. Your grandmother is very sick, and I need you to go through the woods to give her some food. But I'm telling you, do not stop and talk to anybody through the woods because it can be a pretty scary place." So the mother let her go, and off Little Red Riding Hood went through the woods. When all of a sudden, Little Red Riding Hood came upon a wolf. The wolf started talking to her, saying, "Oh, little girl, where are you going?" And she said, "I am not allowed to talk to anybody. I need to go to my grandmother's because she is very sick." So the wolf said, "Okay, I will see you another time." And Little Red Riding Hood kept going on her way to her grandmother's. And all of a sudden, she got to the door and she knocked. "Come in, Little Red Riding Hood." And here was her grandmother. Little Red Riding Hood said, "Grandmother, what big eyes you have." And grandmother said, "Oh, the better to see you with, my dear." "Grandmother, what big ears you have." "Oh, that's the better to hear you with, my little one." "Grandmother, what big teeth you have." And grandmother, who wasn't grandmother, said, "The better to eat you with, my dear." And so Little Red Riding Hood went running out of there, and she got some help, and they caught that wolf. And so then at nighttime, she got to go back and see her regular grandmother, who had regular eyes and regular ears and regular teeth, and she got to eat the food that Little Red Riding Hood got for her. And the wolf wasn't ever seen or heard from again. He couldn't be naughty anymore because when Red Riding Hood ran away from there, she got help and they took the wolf away. Now, I have another story for you, and it's called an updated Little Red Riding Hood fairy tale, and it's called Little Red by Bethan Woollvin. So here is the woods, and you can see Little Red Riding Hood way over here. So this is a different version of it. And here she is. Not sure about if she should go in that door. So here is the picture. And it says, one day, Little Red's mother called to her. "Please take some cake to your grandma," she said. "She's not feeling too well." And there's her mom handing her some cake through the door. And there are those woods that are kind of scary to go through. There she's walking. So Little Red set off on her journey through the forest to grandmother's house. Before long, she met a wolf. "Where are you going?" he growled, which might have scared some little girls, but not this little girl. "To my grandmother's," Little Red replied. "She's not feeling well." "Is that right?" said the wolf. And the wolf made a plan. Can you guess what the plan might be? The wolf said goodbye to Little Red and took a shortcut through the trees and found grandmother's house. Here it is. He put on her glasses and spare nightdress and climbed into her bed. And there he waited. It wasn't long before Little Red arrived and found that the door to Grandmother's house was already open. She peeped in through the window. She couldn't see Grandma, but she could see a badly disguised wolf waiting in Grandmother's bed, which might have scared some little girls, but not this little girl. She made a plan and went inside. "Hello, Grandma," Little Red said, though she wasn't fooled for a minute. "Oh, Grandma, what big ears you have," she said. "Oh, Grandma, what big eyes you have," she said. And, "Oh, Grandma, what big teeth you have," she cried. "Why, yes, my dear," replied the wolf. "All the better to eat you with." And the wolf leaped forward, which might have scared some little girls. But not this little girl, which was unlucky for the wolf. The end. Now, see on this last page, she's going back with the wolf outfit, the wolf skin on, back to her mother waiting at the door for her. So this was a different version of the Little Red Riding story that I just told you using the little puppet characters. So every time you hear a story, it can be told, especially a fairy tale, it can be told a little bit differently every time because every person has different things that they can talk about. And when she went through the woods, I think she might have found some things along the way that I'm going to show you real quickly because I go for a walk every single day. And when I walk, I pick things up along the way. And here are some things you can see. I have some different pine cones. And I picked some pine from a tree and some rocks and some berries. And sometimes if you don't have paper or a computer or books, you have to kind of think of what could I use? And if you go outside and your parents say it's okay, you can pick up some nature. And if it's clean, maybe you can bring it in the house if they let you. And you can retell stories because you could talk about something like you could have this to maybe be maybe a different head here. Maybe a Little Red Riding Hood. Or you could, this is a red berry that I found. You could have the berry here. And you could even use a rock as the head and pretend that's Little Red Riding Hood walking to go see your grandmother. And she was going through the woods, so you could have little trees. And you could also pretend that you get to the door and you say, "Oh, grandmother, what big eyes you have." "Oh, grandmother," you could say, "what big ears you have." And then you could even say, "Grandmother, what big teeth you have." And you could take one of the pieces of the pine tree and you could pretend those were teeth. So you can take all kinds of things and create with them. You could even change your fairy tale and have Little Red Riding Hood fly out of there. You could make an airplane out of a pine cone and branches. You always have to use your imagination and use things that you have around. And when she knocked on the door, you could take 2 rocks and say, "Oh, grandmother, are you home?" and make the door knock. Or there's so many possibilities that you could have. Little Red Riding Hood could be carrying, oh, look at, there's little sticks on here. They look like her arms. And so she could be carrying a basket. That could be her basket that she's carrying, and that could be her head. You can think of all different kinds of things. So I hope you have fun if you get to go out for a walk or can draw something. Just keep thinking of different ways that you could tell some fairy tales. Bye.